Welcome to Both Sides Now, featuring the unconventional duo, Dr. Shirley and Medium Kellee White. Two perspectives, one world. This is Both Sides Now.
Well, hi, everyone, and welcome to Both Sides Now. I'm Dr. Shirley.
And I am spiritual medium Kellee White.
And John, our wonderful, wonderful guy, is here with us.
Hi, ladies. Happy to be here. How you handled all this madness?
Oh, I'll tell you how I handled it. I took a 3-hour nap today.
Oh.
I was on overload, and I was thinking the funniest thing today, and I really mean this. Thank God my mom passed away. If she couldn't have had her hair and nails done, she would have died.
Oh, so, yeah. Yeah.
I mean, if I look at it in those terms.
And mine would have thought the world was ending. So, yeah.
Really? I mean, yeah. I've been having an issue with hair and nails. I thank God I've got Cindy at home, and she's very good with hair.
Okay.
So as the gray starts to sprout out,
oh my God,
enlisted her.
Roots and all. I'm like, well, here we go, folks.
Well, I'll never forget. Did you just watch Carol Burnett when you were a kid?
Oh, I love Carol Burnett.
Okay, there was this one skit where it's at the end of the night and she's singing "I've Gotta Be Me," and she's taking off her nails, taking off her eye, her hair, her teeth. So funny. As a little kid, I remember laughing so hard. Who knew that I was going to be that?
You do have to laugh during this time when you can. When you can.
Well, I just love it with these celebrities. They don't have their tribe. So when they have to do like a live performance, like we've seen recently, right? They're using their iPhones and they're using Zoom and they're using everything else under the sun to sort of go live on national TV. And they definitely don't have their village.
Yeah, it's true.
Seeing that vulnerable side, that that non-polished, that we're all in it together kind of side. It kind of levels the playing field. So.
Well, that's something definitely that we're all seeing, and it's so funny because Sydney will show me these little clips that people are doing. This family had done this elaborate Pirates of the Caribbean scene because Disneyland is closed. So it was these two kids kind of on a sleigh that was being pulled, and they kept going through down the stairs was like, the waterfall in Pirates of the Caribbean, and each family member played a different pirate. I mean, it was so funny. I thought people are either getting so unbelievably creative in this time or going crazy.
It's a combo. It's a combo.
Hilarious. Yeah. It was so good. Oh, it was hilarious.
Have you seen the guy singing the F song? It's hysterical.
I did post that.
Oh my God, it's so funny. Yeah. Well, let's talk. We've got a great guest today, so I'm going to talk.
Oh my!
I can't wait to bring her on.
Yeah.
But I thought I want to tell everybody again, and I don't mean to be henny penny. I've been screaming this for. Literally since July of last year. I did a podcast with James and I re-listened to it July of 2019. And I'm saying the same thing, that it's unbelievable to me. I did not know, folks, that it was going to be a pandemic. I had no idea. I just knew something was going to happen to change the course of the world in our history. So tomorrow is a really important day, but I really want to make a plea to everybody to stay in for the next few days if you can. Because we have some major triggering events that are coming up. Tomorrow, Mars, and I'm talking sidereal astrology, not Western astrology. I'm talking Eastern astrology, where the planets actually move. And the reason I'm talking this way is because I think that sidereal Vedic astrology is a little more accurate. That's what I think. I've been doing it my whole life. So anyway, tomorrow on the 31st, March 31st, 2020, Mars actually conjuncts with Saturn at 6 degrees of Capricorn. Now, let me tell you what that means. It's like a car that's going 1,000 miles an hour. Mars is energy, it's power, it's anger, it's rage, it's action, it's life force. It even rules the blood, okay? And it's conjoined with, meaning it's right next to, meaning this giant planet Saturn is the brakes at equal force. So you have a car going 1,000 miles an hour and the brake force at the same. It's very combustible. So I know a lot of people are living together during this time. Please find something to do with your energy, like go out for a walk if you can safely and all of that, because tomorrow's going to be a very intense day. I'm not sure what's going to happen. I just know that, this virus can quadruple. It could, there could be closures. There could be just a lot of delays and setbacks. Okay. So this is tomorrow. When we get to the first week in April, I'm just talking a couple of days from now, really. April 3rd, April 4th, April 5th. April 4th, Mercury conjuncts Neptune. And we may realize at that time that we have been lied to. Like, we don't really know the truth of everything. That may start to come out. Okay, that's on the 4th. And on April 5th, Jupiter conjuncts Pluto at 0 degrees again in Capricorn. That's a turning point. So what we may see during that period of time are governments working together. So it's going to be a really interesting time here. And I want to say a couple of quotes here, because before we get into our guest, I just want to say this. I've been saying this quote. I've quoted this person forever, this exact quote from Eckhart Tolle, who I absolutely love. He said, because so many people are saying to me, why is this happening? Why does this happen to me? Blah, blah, blah. Please. So life will give you whatever experience is most helpful for the evolution of your consciousness. How do you know this is the experience you need? Because this is the experience you are having at the moment. And that's from Awakening to Your Life's Purpose, Eckhart Tolle, in A New Earth. The other thing he said was yesterday, I watched him on a video yesterday, and I thought it was profound. He said, adversity will force you to go deeper. Life becomes almost unbearable when you live it on the surface. So really what he's saying here is go deep, this is the period of time to go deep, inward. Ask yourself, what have I done in my life? What do I need to do? What can I let go of now? What has not been reality to me? What's my real reality? Kind of look like that, because so many people have had so many different experiences in their life that I think they have to actually start taking notice and paying attention to who they are and what they're doing, how they're leading their life. Maybe that's really a better thought there. So having said that, and I want to say this, that I've said this, if you are lucky enough to be here during this time of great transition, it will bring rapid growth to your soul. And that is why you incarnated. You can quote me on that.
You know what we've been saying, now that many of us have the time, how many times have we say, oh, only if I had the time, right? Well, how are we going to spend it right now? That's the question.
Right on, John.
So, and I wrote this on my wall. I said, as the great songwriter Saida Garrett and Glenn Ballard wrote in Man in the Mirror, if you want to make the world a better place, take a look at yourself and then make that change.
Hey, wait, I just have to say this. I know Glenn Ballard.
Okay. Yeah.
Honestly.
He co-wrote that song.
I know he did. I remember when he did it.
It's a great song. And so now is not the time to be bored. It's time to get creative. Use your time wisely to better yourself. Meditate, listen to your heart, write, volunteer, be of service, connect virtually, donate, read, research, learn, sing, play, paint, perform, and share your gifts, your unique gifts, which we're going to get into with our guest, to make the world a better place. So how are you using this time right now?
I think that's wonderful to remind people, because it's such a time also to learn about yourself. It took me the longest time to realize, okay, my bandwidth is this. And so when I need to take some time away or step back, and especially now that we're living, people who are living with their family members, know yourself well enough and not be critical or judgmental about it, but just to know it as a fact. I need an X amount of time for myself, so I'm going to go and do that right now, and not be, judgmental of yourself, to really get to know yourself well enough to be able to be accepting of it and give yourself what you need, especially in these times.
Be curious about yourself.
Yeah.
Right.
Be curious so that you don't have judgment.
Yeah. So there's no judgment. I mean, why? It is what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely. And we always say, self-care is super important. It's not selfish. It's critical, so
absolutely.
Especially in times like these.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So we have a wonderful, wonderful guest. Her name is Marianne. She's a PR professional, communication specialist, and intuitive advocate who has interviewed some of the most gifted intuitives in the world, including our own spiritual medium, Kellee White, who's in her book. She also interviewed top scientists, psi researchers, which I found through her to mean researchers that research psychic phenomena. Trouble with this word. academicians. No, I'm saying it wrong. I apologize.
Academics.
Academics. Yeah. And even a leading Catholic Archbishop regarding the topic of intuition, which I was interested in. And she shares her findings in her new book, The Gift Within Us. According to Pew Research, the number of people who identify as spiritual but not religious has increased dramatically in the last few years. However, even though these people don't attend church, they're still yearning for fulfilling spiritual connection, which we can get by listening to our own inner voice. Now is a crucial time to go within and discover how you can be of service to the world. So welcome, Marianne. We're so happy to have you.
Hi,
Thank you.
Marianne.
Thank you, Shirley and Kelly. I love the
I was
applause.
practicing that word and I didn't get it.
I think I'm switching it to academics. I think that'll be better. Yeah.
How do you pronounce it, Marianne? I know you said it earlier.
Academicians. I don't know.
Academicians. Interesting.
Basically, they're people that teach in universities and study religion, and I mean, they're just a whole group of really smart people. But we'll change the word.
So, anyways, tell us how you came to this, because this is just fascinating.
Okay. I'm a public relations professional, and I worked in New York City at top PR firms for about 15 years. And basically, I was given a weird assignment by a client. He was a restaurateur in New York City. He owns all the franchise restaurants, all the TGI Fridays and the Dunkin' Donuts and whatever, called the Reese Organization. Back in 1997, he said, I'm putting up a giant digital clock in Midtown Manhattan to count down the minutes and days and seconds to the year 2000. Because do you remember back then we were scared of Y2K?
Oh, yeah.
What's going to happen when it turns to the year 2000? So, I mean, I understood that was an interesting concept, but from a marketing standpoint, if I'm owning a lot of restaurants, is having a logo of a TGI Fridays going to around this clock make me want to go and order a sandwich? No, it made no sense. But my mandate was get national publicity for this digital clock on 34th Street. So I thought, what am I going to do? Well, I came up with the idea, or I don't use the word idea anymore. Inspiration came to me. Find really highly gifted psychics and mediums and do a press conference 1,000 days before the year 2000. And I thought, about what's going to happen in the year 2000. So I did a lot of research. I wasn't going to be lazy and get storefront psychics down the street. And I found 24 highly gifted psychics and mediums. And I invited them to come, and we did a press event where I sat them at TGI Fridays, speed dating style, at different tables. Wouldn't you know that 75 journalists showed up, which is enormous, including Wall Street Journal came, CBS Evening News, of course, Entertainment Tonight, Inside Edition, those types.
Right.
But they came there, and they could each get 2 to 3 minutes with each intuitive and ask either personal questions or world events or celebrity questions. And so the reason I mentioned the story is, yes, it got enormous amounts of press, both national and global. And some of the press was very complimentary about this ability. I mean, it wasn't just all making fun, but the reason I tell this story is for two reasons. The guy from the Wall Street Journal came up to me afterwards, and his face was just pale, devoid of blood. He was shaking. And he said, Marianne, I'm not kidding. I came here to make fun of these people, but they were so accurate that I'm still in shock. And the second reason I mention it is because I ended up becoming close friends with a number of these gifted people, and have been for many, many years. In fact, it felt like I'd found a family. So over the years, as I knew them, I started to become, as a communicator, I was annoyed at how they were perceived as fakes, charlatans. Oh, they're hanging out of shingles, saying they're psychics. And it just bothered me. So I started writing profile chapters about their lives, because I knew they were born that way. Well, maybe they knew in a past life they would come in and be gifted, but whatever, they were born that way. Many struggled as children to understand their gift. Many were bullied. Eddie Connor, who we mentioned before, who's in the book, he was bullied. He said coming out as a psychic was 20 times worse than coming out as gay in the South, right, as a man. So I started writing these chapters thinking I would write a book about just, the people in the book. And over time, it evolved where I have 33 profile chapters of super highly gifted people from the US and also around the world. And also they're super high integrity folk. But I also have chapters about scientists like Dr. Schwartz that Kelly knows, and Dean Radin and others who study psi, which is the study of psychic ability. I have different chapters about how intuitives have been treated throughout history. Sometimes they were revered, sometimes not. And just various other personal chapters and chapters on how you can develop, your gift within you, how you can connect. 6 simple steps to accessing your inner voice. And they are simple because it is simple to do. People make it seem difficult. So anyway, the book finally evolved as The Gift Within Us. It tells the story of the 33 highly gifted people, including Kelly, but it also talks about how each of us has access to this divine wisdom, this divine guidance, and that we need more than ever to tune in. Now, I started writing this book many years ago, and the fact that it's come out on March 20, 2020, and it's now I'm doing PR for it. A lot of the people in my book saw this change happening. I thought the book would be published in 2016, 2017. It just took as long as it took.
Wow.
But it's come out now. And as a PR person, I would counsel my clients, don't do PR for any of your products right now because no one's going to write about it. It's all about the coronavirus. And I even thought maybe I should put this on ice until this all blows over. No, my guide said, now is the time to tell people you're turning inward, you're being with your loved ones. You're forced to do this, frankly, and it's going to be a blessing for you. And also learn to listen to your inner voice because they're really smart. They're also cool, and they're guiding us, not just in our personal lives. But I believe that as we've seen, all of this, what's going on right now, is having a benefit to the planet. I mean, pollution. Yeah. So we're in a very difficult time right now. And I wouldn't say it's a silver lining because people that are losing loved ones, it's not fun. This is a tragic time. However, at the end of the day, maybe they had to step in and help us get a hold of things because we weren't listening, and left to our own devices, things were kind of getting into a mess.
Yeah. Yeah. This is really to bring us into a balance.
The breakdown before the breakthrough.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And tell us, Marianne, you said you have an archbishop who wrote something. Tell us the story about him. It's fascinating.
Well, I wanted to do a chapter on how priests and rabbis and other clergy viewed intuition and, the connection to spirit. Nobody will go on record to talk about it. It's kind of taboo, right? Plus, psychics are considered, woo-woo. I think I hear all the time, woo-woo. So I called a person that I had known since I was a child. He was Father Flynn to me growing up. My mom took us to church. I was raised Catholic, but my dad was a Methodist. And so he decided that he wanted to convert to Catholicism. And Father Flynn, who looked kind of like Bing Crosby, a young man, converted my dad. And we became friends with him and knew him for many years, would visit him through his, he went to Mount St. Mary's Seminary, and then he became a bishop in New Orleans. And anyway, I hadn't talked to Father Flynn for at least 20 years. And when this book was almost done, I decided to call him. I didn't know if he was going to yell at me. I'm writing a book about intuition and psychics, and I didn't know what he was going to say, but I wanted his opinion. So I interviewed him, and he shocked me. He was now Archbishop of Minneapolis and St. Paul. I mean, this man had risen through the ranks. And by the way, he was also the person who was in charge of the sex abuse scandals, cracking down on priests that were involved. He was the head guy on that committee, right? I didn't even know
wonderful. That's
so
wonderful.
He's an amazing trailblazer. So I called and Father Flynn, Archbishop Flynn, this is the book I've written. What do you think? And he shocked me. He said, Marianne, Jesus was born with these abilities. Saints had these abilities. We all have the ability to connect directly with God or whatever. And I can read. Do you want me to read the little quote here?
Yes,
in my first chapter about the new spirituality, I quote him liberally, and he gave me permission before he died in September, unfortunately. But he gave me carte blanche to write all this stuff. Remember, he's a ballsy man. He wasn't going to just go with the party line and follow like a sheep. But he wrote, this direct connection has always been available to all of us. Some receive this guidance through prayer. some through meditation, and others by simply listening to their inner voice. We all have access to divine wisdom. It's just a matter of knowing and trusting that we are loved and worthy of receiving that guidance.
Yeah,
I mean, he got it.
he did.
And there's a weird thing. Again, why would I be nervous to call him and ask about the fact that I've interviewed all these gifted people, psychics, mediums? I was nervous, to be honest. I didn't know what he was going to say, and he just blew right through that. And a lot more of what he says is in the first chapter of the book. But I was so happy. I actually contacted the Vatican and rabbis, and you're not going to get anyone to go on record to say that this ability is good. Yeah,
which is too bad. It really is. It really is too bad, because it's innately part of who we are. I mean, I love what you say, and if you can please tell our listeners, accessing the gift within us is really simple. And I think it's because we have it innately. We just don't, it's not nurtured. But you had said something really funny about accessing that.
Oh, the thing about that I'm a white knuckler and it's hard to meditate?
Well, that you had written it down where if you had to go into a deep trance meditation, hold certain crystals in your hands, or...
Yeah, if I had to hold crystals, meditate, and focus on my crown chakras and all this, I never would have written this book. I'm a white knuckler. I try to meditate. I have that app Calm on my phone, and I look at the thing. And listen, they have gotten to me. Maybe they hit me on the head with a rubber mallet. Sometimes I have to laugh. I get it in the shower before I wake up in the morning. They sometimes get me out of bed to write this down. But I've got that muscle developed now, but I didn't have to do all of this intense work to get there. And the thing I think I mentioned also was that my guides gave me this image of, if you all remember The Wizard of Oz, at the very end of the movie, when Dorothy has gone through the flying monkeys and the poppies and everything, she has gone through the rigmarole, and the poor wizard can't get her back to Kansas. So Glinda comes down, beautiful Glinda, and says, "But Dorothy, you've always had the power to go back to Kansas." And then Dorothy, you just had to believe that. And Dorothy taps her heels and she's there. We, all of us, have right here this ability. We just have to there's one major caveat that many of us can't achieve this. Ego. If you take your ego down 2 pegs and you're a little bit humble, you listen. And you're not going to hear crazy voices. It's just like the thought that you get every day about anything. We all get hunches and gut feelings. Just listen and realize that what's coming to you is a gift, that we have that connection. They're rooting for us. They're on our side. We're not just picking up the phone, talking into it, hoping somebody hears off in the distance, and probably they won't because we're not worthy. No, they've got their phone and they want to talk to us.
Right.
And that's what this book is about.
Right. And it's so interesting. The veil is so thin right now. I've said to everybody, when anybody says, "Oh, is my, son here, or is my daughter here, or is my husband here?" Of course they're here. They wouldn't want to miss this part of the journey here. They're right there with you. Talk away. They're listening to everything, but then get very still and listen and move that ego down. You're absolutely right. Because then people want to say, no, I didn't really hear that. Oh, yeah, yes, you did.
Yes, you did.
Yeah.
And I was talking to your producer, John, and he said, how do people know it's coming from this place or that? Well, we've all had those gut feelings and hunches, right? Every single one of us. Don't take your daughter to school that way. Drive this way instead. Right. You get these feelings, and they're different because you're thinking, well, that's not what normally I would be thinking. So that's one sign. Right. It just came to me. The other thing is, sometimes you'll have like a brilliant thought and you think, wow, I'm really cool. And like when I had this cover of the book, it's a bow. It's simple. It's not new agey. That was not my brilliant brain. That was just them saying, keep it simple, make it a gift. I mean, I give them credit, right? Yeah. So I want people to know, if you have a brilliant thought, sometimes they're helping you a little bit. You could be so brilliant, but come on.
As we call them, the spiritual breadcrumbs for our life.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah. It's true. You know, I mean, well, spirit guides want to keep us on our path, and they know our journey, so they really want to keep us on our path. So they'll give us. You'll hear, you know, like I always use the experience of, I think I'm going to go to the supermarket. Well, back in the day, 2 weeks ago, I'm going to go to the supermarket, and then I'll get a thought in my head. Oh no, I'm going to instead go to Starbucks, and then you meet somebody that you were supposed to meet. I mean, and I just have learned. It's funny. My husband and I were talking about this today. We moved to Wisconsin in June of last year. The reason we moved is my husband had this fire under his ass to get out of LA. He's like, we got to go now. We got to go now. We got to go now. And I'm like, well, we could, you know, my practice is big. I really don't want to go now. Why don't we go? No, we have to go now. We have to go now. I never understood why until now. I understand. And so you may not know the reason why. If you're feeling anything, you may not know the reason why yet, but I guarantee you turn around and you'll figure it out.
Yeah. And part of it is you may never know. It's like preventive medicine, you know, or taking something preventively. We'll never know because we prevented it, you know, from happening. So I think to your point, Marianne, is trusting that it is the right thing just because it's, you know, a thought popped into your mind or you feel it. You know, I feel my intuition, I feel it kind of in my solar plexus, and then they turn into words. And sometimes I don't even know, you know, as you were saying, I don't know where they're coming from, but it's trusting it and practicing it enough so you do trust it.
Well, and the other thing I want people to know, and they keep telling me, ask and you shall receive. And isn't that like ask and you shall receive? But the thing is this, when you're trying to make a big decision, like you're going to buy a house or whatever, all of us do this already. We quiet our minds for a minute and we think, okay, we quietly say, can you help me? We all do this. We don't recognize that we do it, but we do.
Right.
You can ask for guidance in like I was moving to New York many years ago. I didn't want to move there. I needed some. Now they will give you insights and guidance. Maybe it's somebody like a friend calling you and having information or whatever.
Right.
Now so we have that. So we need to understand that they're there for us. Now that isn't a faucet you turn on and it's constantly running. There will be times in your life then you will not, there will be what Father Archbishop Flynn called desert times. You might not get the answer. You might not get any answer for a while. It's more rare, but it does happen because we are here. It's a school. Our souls are meant to grow. Some things we're meant to deal with ourselves.
Yeah.
Right? So that may happen. But in general, if we ask for help and guidance, in interesting ways, we will get the answers a lot.
Right. And sometimes not getting what you want is the best thing ever.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Right. Oh,
let's see. Mike says, hi, everyone. Just wanted to let you know I have tried the meditation you suggested for me last visit. I've been meditating since and I finally figured out who my spirit guide is. Oh, great.
Oh, lovely.
Super. Thanks, Mike, for letting us know.
So anyway, I just want people to know that we have this enormous pool of brilliant energy. I don't know, God, the universe, our greater self, higher self, whatever. And we just need to know that we can tap into that. And more importantly, I believe the reason I was kind of drafted to write this book was to get the message out that they want us to connect.
Absolutely.
The planet needs us to listen.
Yes. Katrina says she's so happy she bought the book. Marianne's voice just brings you in, which is so true. And Rebecca, John, if you could put that quote, that was really good what Rebecca said. She said, your guides want it to be a surprise, a gift. I love that, Rebecca. Just like the book. I got chills on that one. Yeah.
That's so sweet. Yeah. I have to say that all I've ever gotten from this whole project, and since I made friends with so many gifted people all those years ago, I've been fortunate. I mean, I can connect with them. Okay, I like you, Kelly. I am a business person, right, in the public relations field. I know that whole corporate world and how dry that can be. I also know this other world, and quite frankly, I feel that all of this happening right now is forcing us to move into this higher state of consciousness.
Yes.
Period.
Period.
You know, and I think it's all good for all of us. We have to go through this really difficult time right now of readjusting. But I think ultimately the message of the book that I was given to write was, it's there. All this powerful energy, this love, it's and wisdom, it's right there.
Yeah. Well, that's what Shar is saying. People are going within, they have to. And she's looking forward to reading the book. But it's true. It's kind of forcing, it's, I see it. And again, not to minimize, as I think Marianne, you mentioned, or Kelly, you might have mentioned about people who are really having loved ones that are passing on because of this virus. But I do believe that it's like when we don't listen to our bodies, our bodies will speak louder and we'll get sick and we'll be forced to rest, that kind of thing. It really seems like Earth or Mother Nature said enough and kind of just spoke louder to stop everyone. I mean, how do you stop everyone in the world,
got our attention, didn't it?
Right. And so, pollution in the ocean. I mean, it really feels like nature just, had to speak louder because we weren't listening.
So Mel says, the nail clippers fell to the floor when I turned you guys on. Someone is telling me to listen. That's right, Mel. Listen up.
That's hilarious.
I'm still wondering if I have any guides or guide. Julie, yes, you do. Everybody comes in with a minimum of one guide, which is usually just plenty. Just go ask them. And as Marianne is saying, literally, you ask your guide. You can do it right now. What's your name? You're going to hear some name. I don't care. It could be Frank or Joe or Mary, or it could be anything. They don't care about their names. They could care less.
And then you also have specialty guides that come in for certain things that you're working on, especially during this particular time.
Oh, you betcha.
Right? We're supposed to go within and discover that key that Kelly wrote about, right? If you go and check that article. And it's very similar to what you're talking about, Marianne, in your book. It's those gifts within, right? So yeah, especially now, I think that it's time to go on that spiritual scavenger hunt to really dig deep and get to what it is that you came in here for, because we need that at this particular time.
Go under the superficial.
Yeah,
go under the superficial. Again, as Shirley and I were talking about our roots, go under the superficial.
Right. Well, let's go to our calls. We've got our callers that are holding. Someone's been holding since the beginning of the show. So let's go to 727. Can we have your name, please, and where you're calling from? If you're still there, that is. Probably after all this time, you're probably giving up on us. We'll come back to you. Let's go to 847 970. You're on the line with us. Can we have your name, please, and where you're calling from?
Hi, my name is Marlene. I'm calling from Illinois.
Hi, Marlene.
Hi, Marlene. How can we help you tonight?
Hi. Well, you've been talking the last couple of weeks about dreams, and Kelly, you'd mentioned you'd dream about bats. John, you too. So I've been trying to pay attention to my dreams, and I had one that actually woke me up last week in the middle of the night. And I can't forget it.
Oh, what is it?
I was hoping that you could have a little insight from me what this dream is all about. I had dreamt that they, whoever they are, realized that something that came from cows could benefit mankind. So across the globe, they were starting to slaughter the cows in order to harvest, I guess, whatever it is, this part of the cow that is going to help mankind. And then there was this man that I saw. He was up in a tree. He had horses tied to a tree. And he had a sword, and he was murdering the horses, and it was horrible.
Okay.
And
I think I got it. Yeah. Okay, Marlene, I'm gonna stop you right here with this, and I'm gonna say a couple of things, okay? Because I know with dreams work we could go on and on and on, but I want to say this: cows mean the herd. Cows actually literally mean the herd. So we've got a whole herd here, right? Of people. I mean, that's really, cows are a very sacred. Also, this herd is very sacred. And so that's sacred to mankind, actually. Horses tied up. Horses are freedom. They're tied up right now. So we're going to see there was a very great dream. And if I had more time, we would go into every detail with you in a session. That's what I do. But it's very symbolic, and I do appreciate that dream, because the herd currently is not having any freedom, none. The herd mentality, but we can meet each other in different ways now. So thank you for sharing that. I really appreciate it very much.
Yes, thank you
All right,
very much.
thank you.
Thank you.
Wow.
Great dream. I mean, believe me, I could spend a whole hour just on that dream.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
I'm sure. So you can post it in the comments. Let's go to area code 727 and see if they are back with us. 727, are you there?
Hey, ladies. Thanks for taking my call.
Hi.
This question would be more for Kelly. I'm an empath myself.
Oh, can you pick up the phone and put it to your face, because we're not hearing you very well?
Yes, can you hear me now?
Yes. If you're on speakerphone, go off speakerphone,
Okay.
please. Okay.
I'm not on speaker.
Okay.
I'll try to talk louder.
Okay.
So I'm also an empath. I recently found out about a couple years ago. And I've noticed in the last few months, my anxiety has just gotten a lot more intense. So really, this question would be for Kelly. Do you see where this could be stemming from?
Yes. Okay. Yeah, it's a great question, and I can make it very broad here. So, and empaths right now are at the front line of feeling everything. And on Thursday, John and I are going to do a show about the subtle bodies and getting into the body.
Chakras, yeah.
But empaths have tentacles that go way out. Okay. So you would be feeling the mass consciousness. You'd be feeling your own fears, because right now, frankly, there are a lot of fear out there. The whole planet is covered with this gray matter of fear. I want you. What is your name? I didn't get your name.
Diana.
Diana, I want you to do this. I want you to reach through, literally tether yourself to God, source, whatever it is, and have a talk. And calm and learn to calm yourself with this. Ask yourself the following questions. Is this something I'm worried about? Is my anxiety worried about my son, my daughter, my mother, me, my husband, whatever it happens to be? Okay. And if you get no, and we'll listen to this and you'll go, no, it's not that. It's not that. Then it could be the world situation that we're in. Okay. Just narrow it down. That's what I would ask you to do. All empaths are feeling it right now. Sleep as much as you can, honey. Okay.
Yeah, self-care is super important right now. Like we said at the top of the show.
Yeah.
Self-care is super important right now. And all empaths are on high alert right now.
That's exactly correct.
Strong vibration,
right?
Healing of what's taking place right now. And we're feeling all the panic, and we're feeling all the uncertainty. And it's overwhelming. So Shirley, what would you recommend, like from a panic perspective, or a stress reduction perspective in a situation like this?
Well, I think similarly to what Kelly was suggesting is to to really try to tune into where the anxiety is coming from. Is it something real, or is it more expanded? And grounding always helps to reduce the anxiety just a little bit. So noticing your feet on the ground, look around, notice where you are, and in this moment you're safe. And so that can reduce anxiety, even if it's just a tiny bit.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Especially the breathing that we have talked about before, the 4x4x8, or
it's 4 in, I think 6 hold and 8
release.
exhale.
Yeah. Did that help you out?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
All
for
right.
calling.
Thanks, Diana.
Thanks.
All right. So we're going to continue, and the call lines are open, folks. If you'd like to call in, it's 213-893-4464.
I think everybody's going to be on high alert.
Oh.
The reason your book is so important right now is it's really a gift for people to be able to, they can do this too, Marianne. I love what you've written. It's amazing. People can go inward themselves.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for saying that, Kelly. I mean, basically, again, when I began the book, it was about my very gifted friends and the fact that, telling their stories. But ultimately, organically, my guides were saying, okay, you're legitimizing, telling the stories of really wonderfully gifted people, regular people who just happen to have this gift. so that people can now embrace that instead of just looking at, oh, there's only this celebrity psychic or that celebrity psychic. They can understand that this gift exists, but all of us have access to this beautiful divine wisdom and divine guidance just by realizing that we're worthy of it. And, you know, doing a few basic things. I'm not a good meditator, but you do need to just kind of take a minute, take a few deep breaths. I mean, there are a few steps that are very simple. I mean, I will even tell you a couple of them if you want, but basically it's super easy. Quiet your mind is the first one. Be humble, take your ego down a few pegs. Hard for some people to do. Essential. Trust your gut. We've all had those feelings, right? Not every human being has had that. And ask for help, which I've mentioned. And there's a couple of other things, but basically realize that they want to communicate with us. And there's no problem that we have that's too small for them to weigh in on. Right?
So true.
Yeah.
You may
So
think it's
true.
trivial. Oh, they wouldn't want to bother with me. And somebody asked a question earlier about guides. I don't know what you guys think. I mean, I'm a human, like all of us. We're wiped clean when we come into this world, right? This incarnation. But I think that there are different levels of guides. I mean,
100%.
deceased loved ones, maybe angels, God, the universe, our greater, our higher self, whatever. I think there's a consortium of different levels of guides. And it's just about the fact that I've been blessed to have this great group down here, and then that other group up there, that we're all kind of intermingling and working together as a collective. And people don't understand that they're not alone, that they are loved.
Yes, they
They're
are
worthy.
loved. Right.
And we need tuning in. Doesn't have. I'm the perfect poster girl for not being a great meditator. If they can get through to me, they can get through to you.
Cheryl, there's
That's
hope for
funny.
you.
That's funny. Yay. Well, that's what I love about, you writing a book like that, because it's not your area of expertise. I mean, you're in public relations.
Right.
And to give credence, because like me, I absolutely believe that there are people that have this gift. And I think we all have the gift of intuition, which is also part of what you wrote about, which I think is just so helpful. And so, so brilliant.
Yeah, and the thing is, I was kind of at odds when I call them the powers that be, but first started writing about these super gifted people, of which I'm not, although maybe I was in a past life, and that wasn't my path this time, to read people. But I appreciate that, and I feel like that's my family. But the thing is that it needed to be changed. The Dean Radin, like Gary Schwartz, one of the scientists, said to me when I first called him, he said, what this needs is PR. Because there's such a negative stereotype about intuition and psychics, and I get it. Okay. I get that there are outright fake organizations and what have you. There's a huge number of people that are well-meaning, kind of mediocre at doing this. They're picking up on our hopes and dreams right there. And then there's these super gifted people, which are picking up on info from the source. Some of it is stuff you would never even imagine you would have. And some of it's great news and some of it's not great news. I mean, but we all have access to this. And I think that basically people have been stuck in that stereotype of the psychic and the medium, and they then downplay their own intuitive ability. And so when I got this assignment from them, I'm like, you want me to change the way people view psychic ability? That's kind of hard.
That's a tough one, Marianne. That's a tough assignment you got. Honestly, thinking about it in those terms, that's a tough one.
Well, they had me do, and it's in the book, my first divinely guided PR campaign was about battered women and domestic violence and child abuse. And that was, you'll read about it. I got legislation passed. I was at the White House for about, it's a long story, but it's in the book. But this campaign, I had to laugh. I'm like, come on, that's a tough one. But so what I did do, though, was I wiped out in the book the P word, psychic. I took out a lot, and I put intuitive a lot. it's all the same thing, but it's such a sullied word. It's been so downgraded.
Yeah.
And that's what's kept us from them is that bad media stereotype. So I'm trying to just purify that image so that people understand we're not Kellee White, but I'm Marianne Bohr. But I have, first of all, I have this, I think I have it kind of in spades because they've given me this. They've written half, probably all of the book, frankly. I mean, I'm a good writer, but a lot of it came from the inspirations. But all of us have this access to them. All of us.
Wow. John, we have calls waiting?
We do, yes. Let's go to our next caller. We have area code 502. I believe this is Louisville, Kentucky. Hello, can we have your name, please, and where you're calling from?
Hi, I'm Diana.
Oh, hi, Diana.
Kentucky.
I was right, Louisville, Kentucky. How can we help you tonight?
Right. Oh, well, I was just meditating today, and I know Marianne was coming on today. I haven't read her book, but I am anxious to get it. But I was meditating today, and because I'm really upset over all this stuff that's going on, and I'm trying to calm down. And in my meditation, all I could see was a guy in a rowboat without his shirt on, and it's really foggy, and the waves are really rough. And then he changes into he's got on a winter coat and a winter hat, but it's still foggy, and the water is upheaval. So I was just guessing, I don't know, that thinking about the virus and all the upheaval that's happening, if all this is going to be ending soon, or maybe it's going into the next winter season.
Well, this was in your meditation, or is this a dream?
No, this was a meditation.
Often, I mean, depending on which approach I want to look at, you're every part of that. So you would be the young person or the person without the shirt on in the water. Anytime you're in a boat in water, that's emotion. That's emotion.
Right.
So you're looking at the emotion.
Oh, okay.
At the second part of that, I believe you said that it was frozen, right? Is that what you said? Or was it cold?
No.
Okay. So
I was thinking that, yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Well, really look at your emotions. This is not the time to freeze up. This is the time to allow yourself to have it.
It was just that he changed from having no shirt on to a coat and hat.
Right. And so if I analyze that, even as a meditation, it would be an aspect of you, some part of your emotion that you're icing down, you're closing up, you're frozen in. So really go inward even deeper, go a little deeper. And then really, what are you afraid of? What is holding you? What would restrict you? Think like that. Okay.
Right. Okay. Thanks. Appreciate
it. You bet. Thanks for calling.
Thanks for calling, Diana.
Thank you.
All right. So we're going to go to Susie in Thousand Oaks. Hi, Susie.
Hi, everyone.
Hi, Susie.
I'm doing really well during this virus.
Good.
I really am not worried about much.
That's great to hear.
And it's my dad kind of predicted that there was something big going to happen few years after he passed, which is really strange. But he was known to be an intuitive. But my question is, I have a birthday coming up in a couple days, and it's a milestone birthday. I'll be 60, and I wanted to see if there was any kind of message or anything for me.
Well, again, I'm not doing that right now, Susie, because that's a little off topic, but I'm going to do that on Thursday. If you call in on Thursday's show, I'm going to be looking at that. But 60 is a big year, and during this period of time, is your birthday the 1st or 2nd of April? I think it's 2nd. Yeah, will bring a lot of change for you. This means serious business this week coming up. Serious business. So and I'm glad to hear you saying that you're doing well during this time. A lot of people can't say that. I'm thrilled to hear that.
Yeah.
So, but I can give you more things later on. I promise I'll do that. Okay. Call in on Thursday. We'll look at it.
Can you tune in on our Thursday show? So it's at 3 p.m. Pacific. Okay.
Thursday at 3.
Yeah.
I can do that.
Yeah. You're in Thousand Oaks. So yeah, it's Pacific time, 3 p.m.
All right.
Yeah.
Thanks, Susie.
Okay.
All right. Great.
Thank you.
And happy early birthday, but we'll
Yeah.
talk on Thursday.
Happy early birthday.
Okay, thank you
All
very
right.
much.
You got it. Okay. Yeah, as folks, we posted in the comments, no readings tonight, but there will be readings on Thursday when we're discussing the chakras and the subtle bodies and going in deep, actually call it our COVID check-in or our Corona check-in that we've been doing.
Yeah.
We've been doing it for the last 3 weeks. So
We
yeah.
have been. Yeah. Because people have been very anxious out there, but
Yeah.
I mean,
Rebecca's saying, I hear from God himself and my guides and how they guide me to write for you, and experiences never stop. So her book.
That's great. Great, Rebecca.
Yeah.
I mean, that's really what guides do.
Yeah. Elizabeth's saying, since I've been little, I felt spirit. As I got older, I hear and feel and see them. So I'm trying to open up my psychic ability. It kind of freaks me out. Every now and then I get someone to practice on, but how do I gain confidence?
Marianne, why don't you take this?
In the book, I profile 33 gifted people, and most of them, not all, some came to it later in life, but they often, as children, little children, experienced this. Some were freaked out by it. Some were just like, this is natural. They'd go up to a woman in the grocery store when they were 5 and say, you shouldn't let your husband hit you. You should leave. And then the woman would come over to the mother and say, how does your son know this about me? And the mother would keep the boy in the cart from then on, So, but many were bullied and whatever. I mean, it is what people don't understand is that people who are born gifted oftentimes experience it in ways that are sometimes scary a little bit for them. They have to learn the language. Everyone has their own language with spirit that they deal with, correct? And some see spirits playing in the corner and they don't understand they're not really there. Their parents don't see the grandparents sitting in the corner. So that's all through the book. You'll see that. And the exploration of that I write about in this book. I think basically it's like taking baby steps and asking spirit to help guide you. Okay. Because it is a lot. It's a lot to be a child, period. But to be a child who's gifted.
Oh yeah.
And some were supported. Prajna Avalon, who's from Brazil, she's in my book. She was raised in a community of healers in Brazil.
Oh,
that's
wow.
really rare.
Yeah.
Most people, their parents either don't get it or they kind of get it and they accept them. Some kids were closeted till they were in their 20s, 30s. They became real estate agents. They didn't want to tell anyone. Some kids, funny, used it to their advantage. Like they'd be out pranking at school with other boys and they'd be on this bad list of the teacher and they would use their ability to take their name off the list.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Wow.
Oh, it's a couple people, or they'd ace a test. I mean, most people know they don't need to use it for that end. There's some funny stories about that. So basically, if you're struggling with this, realize it is a struggle and ask your guides for help. And I mean, if you read my book or just go online and you'll see other people, they share their stories. But that's what I loved about writing this book, is sharing the stories of 33 really gifted people. No one talks about how they were as children and they got this gift, and some were freaked out by it. Some were abused because of it.
I remember, Marianne, when you were interviewing my mother while she was still alive.
Right.
And my mom passed away 2 years ago. So I think I've known you for 5 or 6 years, it seems to me. But you had kept asking my mom over and over what I was like as a child.
Yeah.
And my mother would say, even as a child, she'd say, if Kelly said don't do something, we wouldn't do it. I didn't even realize it at the time.
Right. And some people in the book, one guy, his mother, they were driving down from a vacation and the mother said, you have to pull into this stand and we're going to have dinner right now. And the father was like, no, we'll never make time. Well, she insisted. They pulled in and then they ate dinner, and a half hour later they're on the road. A huge car accident had happened. Right.
Wow.
And they would have been killed. But the mother like downplayed it and said she never went back and dealt with her psychic ability, even in their own. The boy who grew up in this family became psychic and dealt with it. But he remembers that experience because his mother was like, they saved their lives, but she wouldn't go there. It's it's like being gay in a way. It's kind of you're born that way. There's
all of that
prejudice against you. But that's another reason I wrote this book, is to just take this stigma off of people who are gifted, so that if we take that off, then all of us can understand that we may not be as gifted as Kellee, but we all have access to the gift within us. That is the point of the book that they gave to me.
Right. That's so true.
Lovely.
And we can train and we can study and we can fine tune those gifts, which is great, you know? So, I mean, and Susie's bringing up a good point about pendulum. You know, how do you feel about pendulum divination? You know, my simple yes and no questions are correctly answered. Well, that's an intuition exercise. That's when you're practicing with your intuition. So those are the kind of things that you can do to sharpen it. You know, you can try to guess the next card in the deck, you know, those kind of things. And that's ways of sharpening, you know, your intuition. So for sure. All right. So let's move on to our next one. Let's see here. We've got, my cousin had to literally block her gift until her mom passed in 2013, and that's Nancy Parr.
Yeah. Which is a shame.
It's a shame, but
it happens a lot. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
a lot
very
of
true.
We were talking about on last week's show about conditioning and how we come in with our astrological chart, our numerology, right? And that's our true essence. That's who we are. And then through over time, the programming and the trauma that we experience, we kind of muddle that and we forget who we are. And then that is a reminder to go back to who we are at birth. You know?
And absolutely. And sometimes it's not safe with a parent, you know. I mean, I was really fortunate with my mother. I was very safe, although she was like, now don't be woo-woo. I don't want to see woo-woo. She used to say that all the time to me. And then that's when I went back to graduate school, to be honest. It was like, okay, I better do both, you know.
The crazy thing is that she was born and raised in woo-woo. I mean, when she told you that her father used to have seances, and remember, and you were like, why didn't you tell me that?
He was a table tipper. He was a physical medium, and he would say, table, rise, and the table would go and rise. I'm like, wow, Mom, like you couldn't have shared this with me earlier? Like what?
And
I couldn't believe it.
That's really woo-woo. I mean, that would freak me out.
Oh yeah.
She wanted me to be, you know, as left brain as I could, and I had no left brain. I was all spirit. I'm like, okay, I'll try, Mom. So
that's funny.
Not safe.
For me, my mom was always like, I'm psychic and we're all psychic. And I mean, my mom's passed now, but it just was kind of, I wasn't into it at that age, but I was very spiritual. But I was like, but my mom is just like open arms, just loving and fantastic. And she's like, I think I'm getting that psychically. And so maybe she was psychic. I don't know.
Clearly was. Yeah. Wow.
I wanted to ask you, Marianne, in your interviewing 33 psychics, did you notice, was there something that you noticed that was very similar about them, and what maybe stood out about a difference between all of them?
I think basically there's a bravery among all of the people that I interviewed, because they've all come out. They all followed their spiritual path, even in the face of adversity. And they all, again, as I said before, had to learn their own language, because spirit comes to us in different ways.
Totally right.
Yeah.
Exactly. Right. I have numerologists, I have different people, but so they learned their own way to communicate. They embraced this. There's even a guy in my book who didn't come to it until his late 40s. He came from a family of Irish cops. They thought he was insane. Like, what? You're going into this area? His name is Robert Hansen. Really tremendous medium. But his family thought he was crazy. And but they all each came to this place where they were not coddled. They came to it because spirit was pushing them to be there. And they all help people. They help people tremendously with their work. You know what I'm saying? They're out there. And so the differences between them, I mean, everybody has their own flavor of how they read, and some are mediums, some are psychic, some are both. Some are really good at names. That's rare. Some are really good at picking up very specific details about health issues. I mean, medical. It's all over the map. But in this book, you have all of these really gifted people with all of these abilities, and so you kind of have it's a great assortment, as it were, of gifted people.
Yeah. Well, it's so true, because not all mediums, like I don't work with any murder. It just, I don't know anything about it. Nothing. But a soul will come to me who has completed suicide or it has emotional issues, because as a therapist, that's what I would know. So every psychic or medium, I should say, has that, deals with whatever they know.
Yeah. And Shar is saying, found out after her mom passing, that her grandmother was a spiritualist and hosted seances and was able to bend spoons. See, that would freak me out. If I saw a spoon going, I mean, I don't even know how I would react to it.
You should have come to my house early on. You wouldn't believe mayonnaise jars falling out of the refrigerator, hanging in air.
Wow.
My poor daughter. My poor daughter. I had such a problem with energy. It's in my book. It'll come out soon. Lori says, I've tried explaining this gift to him. He just says I'm too sensitive. So finding like-minded people is happening through you guys. So thank you. Oh, great, Lori. Yeah, a lot of people will say that you're too sensitive, and that's their way of putting you down. So,
well, because there's no such thing as two. The TOO, it's what you're feeling. Yeah. And so it's to acknowledge what you're feeling. It's not two. There is no two. Right. There is no too much of anything. It just is.
Yeah.
I can't wait to read about all these stories. Oh yeah. Yeah, because it's how we're feeling. It's how to feel in control of our emotions so they don't control us. And by control, I mean the good kind of control, not the way control has now been associated with something bad. But part of that is acknowledging and accepting how we are and how sensitive we are.
There's the book, The Gift Within Us.
I love that. I love the title, and it's so simple and beautiful. It looks like a little Christmas gift.
Yes. And what were you saying about a gift? You were saying, Marianne, we were talking about that earlier when we were before we went live. That a gift, and the reason that they had you design it like this was because
again, I got this through my guides. I didn't want it to be new agey with all sorts of like universes and stuff, stars and everything. And basically, it's about the fact that a gift is a joyful thing.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. It's given to us. And we all have this right here. It's not even something we have to wait to get. It's here.
And a gift is meant to be opened. I mean, how many gifts do you know? So go within and grab that gift.
That is so true. So true.
Yeah, it's a beautiful thing, and it's simple, and and frankly, again, don't forget, we have our phone and we're waiting to hear from them. They've got their phone and they want to hear from us. Yeah. Don't forget, it's not just that's the one thing I will leave you with is the powers that be are yearning to speak with us too. Yeah. We don't have to think that, oh, do they deign to talk to me or something? No, they want this connection. They need to connect with us. And people may not believe that. They don't think they're worthy or whatever, but oh yeah, they have us exist on this planet. We are worthy.
Oh yeah.
We just need to rise to the occasion and connect, take the ego down a couple pegs, be humble, and receive that gift.
Most definitely. Well, we're out of time.
So much.
Went really quick.
Thank you, Marianne. I'm so glad you got to be on our show. And soon you're going to be on another show, Jen Weigel. I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, I will be posting different shows that I'm on. But I have to say, it's been a gift for me to know more about your show. I'm going to spread the word.
Thank
you.
Fantastic.
Thank you, Marianne.
And I saw you joined our group, so I want to put that out there for folks. If you haven't joined our Both Sides Now TV community group, it's a great support and it's free. And you can get to it by going to our Both Sides Now TV page, which you're probably watching right now on Facebook. And then click on the link at the top that says visit our group, and then we'll get you in. And that's a great support group, and we post things to it constantly. So.
Yeah. And I want to tell you guys, all of you, John included, what you're doing is incredibly important. And I'm not just saying it. That's why I want to PR it to certain other people, because you're connecting people, right? You're connecting people.
Well, we thank you for that.
Thank you for that.
Yeah,
Really,
thank you
thank
so
you.
much.
Book out there. And how can people get the book, Marianne? Do they go to Amazon, or where do they go?
Just go on Amazon like you
Okay.
buy any other book and type in The Gift Within Us.
Yes.
Initially it didn't come up the first day, but then you typed in BOHRER, my name Marianne. But The Gift Within Us, it comes up now. Also, I have a website that is just my name.
Okay.
www.mariannbohr, MARYANNBOHRER.com, and it's on there. But that's just a simple way to get it. And anybody has any questions?
You'll be in the group.
That's right.
Yeah,
I'm so happy to be in the group.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for writing
Thank
this.
you.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's so helpful.
Yay.
I've had no choice.
Right. That's right. You listened. So you had no choice.
That's right.
All right, everyone. We'll see you next week. Thank you so much for tuning in.
We'll be here on Thursday. So Thursday at 3 p.m. Pacific time, Cal and I will be here with you doing our check-in. So take care of yourself and each other, and we will see you.
Love you guys.
Thursday.
Thank you.
Love you too.
Love you
Bye.
too.
You've been listening to Both Sides Now, featuring the unconventional duo Dr. Shirley and Kellee White. Two perspectives, one world.